James stared at the photo on the screen, his heart pounding in his chest. The woman in the image was stunning, intelligent eyes that seemed to look right through him, a confident smile that hinted at both strength and vulnerability. He hadn't expected to find her picture while fixing her laptop, and he certainly hadn't expected her to walk in at that exact moment. "Do you think I'm pretty?" she asked softly, her voice carrying none of the authority you'd expect from someone who commanded a billion-dollar empire. The question hung in the air between them, a single father struggling to make ends meet and one of the most powerful women in the business world, connected by a chance encounter that would change both their lives forever. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories that remind us how unexpected moments can transform our lives. Your support helps us create more content that touches hearts and inspires hope. The morning had started like any other for James Wilson. He woke at 5:30 a.m., careful not to disturb his 7-year-old daughter Lily, who had crawled into his bed sometime during the night after another nightmare. Since losing her mother to cancer 3 years ago, Lily's sleep had been troubled, and James had learned to make room for her small, warm body curled against his side. He gently extracted himself from the tangle of blankets and his daughter's limbs, tucking the covers around her before padding to the kitchen of their small apartment. The coffee maker gurgled to life, its familiar sound a comfort in the quiet morning hours that belonged only to him. James checked his phone, scrolling through the day's appointments. As an independent computer technician, his schedule was unpredictable, feast or famine, as his father used to say. Today looked promising, 3 residential calls and 1 high-priority corporate job at Meridian Technologies. The corporate gig had come through his old college roommate, Mark, who worked in their IT department. "They need someone discreet for a sensitive issue," Mark had explained. "The CEO's personal laptop is having problems, and she doesn't want it going through regular channels." The pay was excellent, enough to cover Lily's upcoming school expenses and maybe even start rebuilding their emergency fund that had been depleted during the last slow period. James sipped his coffee, watching the sun begin to paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. He allowed himself a moment of hope. Maybe things were finally turning around. Mrs. Patel from next door arrived at 7:30 to watch Lily until it was time to take her to school. The elderly woman had become like a grandmother to his daughter, stepping in to help when James's unpredictable schedule demanded it. "Daddy, when will you be home?" Lily asked, her small arms wrapped tightly around his neck as he knelt to say goodbye. "I'll pick you up from after-school care today, Lillipad. I promise." He pressed a kiss to her forehead, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. "Pinky promise?" She held out her tiny finger, her expression serious. "Pinky promise." He linked his finger with hers, giving it a gentle shake. "Be good for Mrs. Patel and your teachers." The first 3 appointments went smoothly, a virus removal, a hardware upgrade, and a Wi-Fi configuration issue. By early afternoon, James pulled his weathered Honda into the imposing parking structure of Meridian Technologies headquarters. The gleaming glass tower reflected the cloudless blue sky, a monument to success that made James acutely aware of his worn jeans and the small coffee stain on his button-down shirt that he tried unsuccessfully to remove that morning. At the reception desk, he was given a visitor badge and directed to the executive floor. The elevator rose smoothly, carrying him to a world he rarely glimpsed, a world of power, wealth, and influence so different from his daily struggle to provide for his daughter. Mark met him at the elevator. "Thanks for coming on short notice," he said, leading James down a hallway lined with modern art pieces that probably cost more than James's annual income. "Ms. Chen is in meetings all afternoon, so you'll have the office to yourself. The laptop's on her desk. Whatever you do, don't mess anything up. This woman can make or break careers with a single email." "No pressure," James muttered, adjusting the strap of his tool bag on his shoulder. "Seriously, man. Alexandra Chen built this company from nothing. She's brilliant, demanding, and doesn't tolerate mistakes. Just fix the laptop and get out." Mark left him at the door to an expansive corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. James stood for a moment, taking in the minimalist decor, sleek furniture, carefully selected art pieces, and not a single personal item in sight. It felt more like a museum exhibit than a place where someone worked every day. The laptop sat on the glass desk, a high-end model with custom specifications. James set down his bag and got to work, running diagnostics to identify the issue. The problem turned out to be relatively straightforward, a corrupted system file causing random crashes. As he worked to repair the damage, he couldn't help but notice how meticulously organized everything on the computer was, folders within folders, all precisely named and categorized. It was while restoring the system that he accidentally clicked on a photo folder. He moved to close it immediately, respecting his client's privacy, when a single image caught his eye. Unlike the other folders filled with business presentations and corporate documents, this one contained just one photograph. It showed a woman, presumably Alexandra Chen, sitting on a beach at sunset. She wasn't posed or polished as he would have expected from a CEO's professional headshot. Instead, she was laughing, her long dark hair blowing across her face in the wind, her eyes crinkled with genuine joy. She looked carefree and beautiful in a way that corporate portraits could never capture. James found himself staring, struck by the humanity in that single image, the vulnerability and authenticity so at odds with the sterile office surrounding him. "That was taken in Maui 2 years ago," a voice said from behind him. "My assistant says it's the only photo where I look like a real person instead of a corporate robot." James jumped, nearly knocking over his coffee as he spun around. Standing in the doorway was the woman from the photograph, though now dressed in an impeccable charcoal suit, her hair pulled back in a sleek knot at the nape of her neck. Despite the professional attire, he immediately recognized the eyes, intelligent and somehow both guarded and expressive. "I'm so sorry, Ms. Chen," he stammered, quickly closing the photo. "I didn't mean to pry. The file opened when I was restoring your system." She waved away his apology, moving into the room with the confident grace of someone accustomed to commanding attention. "It's fine. I'm just surprised to find anyone here. My meeting's finished early." "I'm almost done," James said, turning back to the computer to hide his embarrassment. The system was crashing because of a corrupted file. "I've restored it and run a full diagnostic. Everything should be working properly now." She moved closer, standing beside his chair to look at the screen. The subtle scent of her perfume, something expensive and understated, made him acutely aware of how close she was. "You're not from our IT department," she observed. "No, I'm independent. Mr. Reynolds from your IT team, called me in because..." He trailed off, unsure how to phrase it diplomatically. "Because I didn't want the entire department having access to my personal files," she finished for him. "And you are?" "James Wilson." She nodded, studying him with an intensity that made him feel transparent, as though she could read every struggle and hope written on his face. Then, unexpectedly, she pulled out the chair beside him and sat down. "So, James Wilson," she said, her voice softer than before. "Do you think I'm pretty?" The question caught him completely off guard. He looked up, certain he had misheard. "Excuse me?" She gestured toward the computer where the photo had been. "In that picture. My board members tell me I should use a professional portrait for the company website and investor materials. My PR team says the beach photo humanizes me. I'm curious what an objective stranger thinks." James hesitated, sensing a test but unsure what the right answer might be. In the end, he opted for honesty. "I think in that photo you look happy," he said carefully. "And yes, very beautiful. But more importantly, you look real. Like someone with a life beyond boardrooms and quarterly reports." Something flickered across her face, surprise, perhaps, or appreciation for his candor. "That's refreshingly direct," she said. "Most people who come through that door are too busy calculating what I want to hear to tell me what they actually think." James shrugged. "I fix computers for a living, Miss Chen. I don't have the luxury of office politics." For the first time, she smiled, not the polished, professional smile he imagined she used in business meetings, but something closer to the joyful expression in the beach photograph. "Alexandra," she corrected him. "And what else do you do besides fix computers, James Wilson?" "I raise my daughter," he answered simply. "She's 7. Everything else is just details." Alexandra's expression softened. "A single parent?" James nodded, turning back to the laptop to complete the final steps of the system restoration. "For 3 years now. Her mother died of cancer." "I'm sorry," she said, and the genuine empathy in her voice made him look up again. "That must be incredibly difficult." "We manage," he said, not wanting her pity. "Lily is an amazing kid. Resilient, smart, funny. She makes it easier." Alexandra was quiet for a moment, watching as he closed the diagnostic program and began packing up his tools. "I lost my parents when I was young," she said suddenly. "Car accident. I was raised by my grandmother. She worked 3 jobs to put me through school." James paused, surprised by this personal disclosure from someone who, according to Mark, was known for her reserved professionalism. "Is she still alive?" "Your grandmother?" Alexandra shook her head. She passed away the year before Meridian went public. She never got to see. She gestured around the office, at the empire she had built. I think she saw, James said quietly. Maybe not this specifically, but she saw who you were becoming. That's what matters. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the vast differences in their lives seemed to fall away. They were just two people who had experienced loss, who understood the weight of responsibility and the value of those who had shaped them. The moment was broken by the chime of James's phone, a reminder that he needed to pick up Lily from after-school care in an hour. Your laptop should be good to go, he said, standing and gathering his bag. I've left my card with contact information if you have any further issues. Alexandra stood as well. Thank you. Send your invoice to my assistant. Her email is on the card Mark gave you. James nodded, suddenly awkward as the professional boundaries reasserted themselves. He was once again the repair technician, she the billionaire CEO. It was nice meeting you, Alexandra, he said, extending his hand. She took it, her grip firm and confident. Likewise, James Wilson. As he turned to leave, she called after him. James? For what it's worth, I think you're doing the most important job there is. Being there for your daughter, that's what really matters. He smiled, touched by her understanding. Some days I need that reminder. Don't we all, she replied softly. 3 days later, James was helping Lily with her homework when his phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but the area code was local. James Wilson, he answered, balancing the phone between his ear and shoulder as he guided Lily through a math problem. Mr. Wilson, this is Diane Mercer, executive assistant to Alexandra Chen at Meridian Technologies. James straightened, his attention caught. Yes, hello. Is there a problem with Ms. Chen's laptop? No, nothing like that. Ms. Chen was impressed with your work and would like to offer you a contract position as her personal technical consultant. The position would involve maintaining her home office systems as well as her personal devices. The compensation package is quite generous, and the hours would be flexible. James was stunned into silence. The opportunity would mean financial stability, better hours, and the ability to be more present for Lily. Mr. Wilson? Are you still there? Yes, sorry. I'm just surprised. It's a very generous offer. Ms. Chen also mentioned that you have a young daughter. The position includes comprehensive health benefits and access to Meridian's on-site childcare facility if needed. James looked at Lily, who was watching him curiously, her pencil poised over her math worksheet. The thought of reliable healthcare alone was enough to make his heart race. Lily's last ear infection had cost him nearly a week's income. I'd be very interested, he said carefully. When would Ms. Chen like to discuss the details? She's asked if you would be available for dinner tomorrow evening to go over the specifics. She understands you may need childcare arrangements, so she's flexible on the time. James thought quickly. Mrs. Patel had been asking to have Lily over for a movie night. 7 o'clock would work. Excellent. I'll text you the restaurant details. Ms. Chen is looking forward to it. After hanging up, James sat in stunned silence until Lily poked his arm. Daddy? Who was that? You look funny. He smiled, ruffling her hair. That was someone offering Daddy a new job. A better one. Will you still pick me up from school? She asked, her small face serious. Even more than before, he promised. And maybe, if things go well, we can start saving for that trip to Disney you've been talking about. Lily's eyes widened. Really? Pinky promise? He linked his finger with hers. Not yet, Lillipad. But maybe soon. Now, let's finish this math so we can have ice cream. The restaurant was far more upscale than anywhere James had been in years. He felt out of place despite wearing his only suit, purchased for his wife's funeral and rarely worn since. The maitre d' led him to a private dining area in the back, where Alexandra was already seated. She looked different outside the office, still elegant but somehow more approachable in a simple black dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. James, she greeted him with a warm smile. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the invitation, he replied, taking the seat across from her. And for the job offer. It was unexpected. I believe in recognizing talent, she said simply. And in working with people I can trust. A waiter appeared with menus and a wine list. Alexandra ordered for both of them with the easy confidence of someone accustomed to such settings. James found himself relaxing despite the unfamiliar surroundings. I have to ask, he said after the waiter departed. Why me? Surely Meridian has dozens of qualified technicians. Alexandra considered him thoughtfully. Do you know what I value most in the people I work with, James? He shook his head. Authenticity. Technical skills can be learned. Credentials can be earned. But the ability to be genuine, to speak truth without calculation, that's rare, especially in my world. She paused as their wine was served. When you answered my question about that photograph, you weren't trying to impress me or gain an advantage. You were simply honest. It wasn't a difficult question, James said with a slight smile. You'd be surprised. She took a sip of her wine. But there's more to it than that. You have responsibilities, priorities that matter. You understand what's truly important. I need someone like that in my inner circle, someone who won't get caught up in the trappings of corporate success. The conversation flowed easily as they discussed the details of the position. The salary was more than generous, nearly triple what James currently earned, with benefits that would change his and Lily's lives dramatically. There's one more thing, Alexandra said as dessert was served. The position includes housing if you're interested. Meridian owns a residential building near headquarters with apartments for key personnel. It would put you within walking distance of the office and the childcare facility. James set down his fork, overwhelmed by the offer. Alexandra, this is incredibly generous, but I have to ask, why are you doing all this? She was quiet for a moment, tracing the rim of her water glass with one finger. When I saw you looking at that photograph, I realized something. For years, I've surrounded myself with people who see me as Alexandra Chen, CEO.